Hey guys, Jules coming at you with another reasoning sesh where I challenge the status quo of the wisdom of the world and the church by diving deep into the ancient scriptures, uncovering meanings glossed over by translations and traditions, really cutting to the core of the metaphysical aspects of these ancient texts and applying it practically to situations in our present day so that we can manifest our best life yet and enter into that Earth 2.0 that we know we've come here to deserve. And today I'm going to be talking about how to receive actual results from Source without banging your head up against the wall.
Come now and let us reason together. Come now, we can talk it over.
But before I begin, I just gotta say, if you like these videos, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and stay tuned because as we lay this foundation, we are literally building that momentum behind us that will accelerate us forward into this new paradigm. And speaking of this new paradigm, let's jump right into the text here. There's a really famous passage from the words of Yeshua, and it's actually spoken about both in the Evangelion of Matthew and Luke. I'm just going to read from the Evangelion of Matthew because they're pretty much the same, but let's just let the words speak for themselves here. Ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asks receives, and he that seeks finds, and to him that knocks it shall be opened. You know, this also applies to a lot of us truth seekers. When we really ask those questions, all of a sudden the answers start getting revealed. And we can take those next steps further down the rabbit hole. When we really look it out, we'll find those answers. And of course, knocking refers to that persistence. When you knock on a door, it will be opened. Maybe not right away, and it might not lead to what you thought it might lead to. But guess what? It doesn't say ask and it might be given to you if you do this much penance or if you try so hard. Nah. We're going to break those shackles of religion and see that Source is saying everyone that asks receives. And he doesn't say take a battering ram to the door. He just says knock. Just knock. Just set that intention and know that it will be open and it will be open. But then he actually goes on to use an analogy of how Source actually wants us to get all this good stuff. Check it out because he says, what man is there of you? He's talking about the people listening to him. What man is there of you whom if his son asks bread, will he give him a stone? Or if he asks a fish, will he give him a serpent? In the Evangelion of Luke, he actually adds in, if he asks for an egg, will you give him a scorpion? Now, of course, all of these have symbolic meanings. And I could get into that because the bread and the stone, it's even like when Satan tempted him and said, turn these stones into bread. He's contrasting the physical with the actual spiritual. And that spiritual bread, of course, is the living logos. When he talks about fish, of course, we have the story of him multiplying the loaves and the fish. But the fish swims in water, and the water represents that emotional realm. The serpent is the deceiver, and the deceiver comes into your emotions and actually convinces you that whatever you ask for or whatever you're standing in faith for, every wile of the enemy is actually there to pull you out into a state of doubt. But it says that that shield of faith extinguishes all the fiery darts of the wicked. And then the egg and the scorpion is also another interesting analogy because the egg is like a seed. When the egg hatches, it hatches a whole new creation. And what seeds are you planting? If you're asking for that ability from Source to plant a seed, is he going to give you a scorpion? And the Greek word for scorpion is related to scope or our awareness. What are we perceiving? Is that going to be cut out? And are we going to perceive something that actually ends up sowing a negative seed? If you then, being evil, talking about how we as humans have a tendency to mess up and fall short, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them that ask him? So he's saying that know that Source has your best interest in mind. Know that even if you want something good, Source isn't going to give you something bad just so that you are beaten into submission. That's not Source. That's the great deceiver. And if you have a door open to the great deceiver, of course, you give him an inch, he's going to take a mile. And the only way to actually give the kingdom of darkness any leeway is to sow those seeds that end up reaping the harvest. That's the whole law. That's seed time and harvest. What you put out is what you get back. And he even concludes by saying that, therefore, all things whatsoever you would, or whatever you want, that men should do to you, do you even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets. This is what it all comes down to. And like I say, that's the embodiment of the term Yahweh. When they translate it Lord, that's like the biggest con ever in the history of translations. And it misleads so many because they're confused sometimes between Lord God or Lord lowercase or Lord God with God uppercase. But they all mean different things, and they all refer to different concepts that Source embodies. When we understand which of those concepts are being referred to in the text, and we understand those natures, we realize that there's a real principle here, and that principle is only working for our benefit. If we lump it all together and we say, oh, this is God, then we get a very schizophrenic idea of what God is, especially in the Hebrew scriptures. But when we realize that these names actually refer to different aspects, we realize that Source has just given out a harvest as to whatever seeds the individuals have sown. And that's the nature that if we harness for ourselves and actually tap into that mentality, we will literally manifest all good things, because every good thing comes from God. And that's the original blueprint of creation, for nothing to be missing, nothing to be broken, nothing to be out of place. That is shalom. And that shalom is our potential to tap into once we step up with the embodiment of the living logos and manifest the power of Christ working through us in our own lives and then in the world around us. That's what it's all about. So don't fall victim to that victim mentality. Know that Source has your back. Source wants you to be well. Source wants all things to be restored to that absolute state of perfection. And literally, we're entering into this Garden of Eden time where we can actually step back into that and reclaim all that we have lost in the first place. Stepping down into this mundane 3D physical time-space reality. Our origins are higher than that. And when we tap into that, utopia is a done deal. So I love you guys. I send you all blessings, abundance, wholeness, shalom. Don't settle for anything less, because that is our inheritance in Source. So I love you guys. I'll check you in a future reasoning sesh. Joel signing out once again. Agape. Salaam. Namaste. Shalom.